Series Media Group. Welcome to another reading of Pecan's Confessions. Open your mind and enjoy. It's imperative to own your time. Don't let your time own you. I don't care how much time you have to spend in prison, or how little for that matter. Never get too accustomed to prison life, especially if you plan on leaving at some point in time. Getting attached to this lifestyle to some degree is inevitable. Even finding yourself attached to some people is inevitable as well. As long as inmates can differentiate between the real world and prison, things just seem to be more tolerable. Being incarcerated sometimes forces people to distinguish between living and just simply surviving. A combination of both is usually the end result if you're lucky. How though? How do you not become attached to a mode of living that has become just that, your mode of living? There's no easy answer when it comes down to it. The lifestyle and effects of prison life will undoubtedly affect anyone to some degree. Probably change them to some degree as well. The environment, the events, the people, so many things taken in at times. Depending on who you are, these things have a tendency to define you. In a way, it's probably more conclusive to just shut a lot of it out as opposed to taking it in. It's the ability to do this that will construct how you deal with the many things you encounter. It's not so much as the things that happen to us, it's the manner in which we deal with it. That truly defines us as human beings. I've dealt with such attachment. I had an associate for a short time. Him and I became quite close, maybe so close that I failed to see the underlying theme to our friendship, being that we were buddies, if you will, for lack of a better word. I didn't have a problem with helping him out. This is what buddies do. However, as time went on, this wasn't just acts of kindness. These things started to become expected. Every single day. Coffee, sugar, cigarettes, soap, snacks, you name it, my buddy came to me. At first it was okay. After a while, I became aware of the fact that I was totally being used passively. I had gotten to the point where when I said no, you'd think I just cut off his foot. He came to me so much that the items he mooched from me, he just stopped buying altogether, as if to say, I don't need to buy this, I'll just go and get it from him. Complacency in its purest form. So of course, I put an immediate halt to it. As a result of that, the relationship changed. We were still friendly, but not as friendly as we were when I was supporting him. So this, no doubt, showed me who he was. Don't get me wrong, I like the guy. I hold no ill feelings toward him. I'm just a little disappointed with him. I thought more of him than that. He was recently released. Him and I discussed many things that are written here. I pray that he applies them to his life. I also pray that our friendship, at the very least, had a positive effect on him. Since his release, I've often thought about him. How's he doing? How's he living? Do he have a job? Is he alive? Even though the day he left, I thought I would miss him. In actuality, I don't. I don't miss him, but I miss his constant begging for everything. It's strange, but since he left, I felt an enormous weight being lifted off of me. It's almost liberating. I don't know if I should feel like this, however, I do. No more attachment. I do wish him the best though. I pray he will apply the tools to help him live a decent life and remain free. An older Spanish-speaking gentleman that I frequently talk to, mostly in Spanish of course, said to me, now you can be like you were before. He said, by yourself, solo. Then he said, ahora cierren la puerta. which means now close the door. He said, I've been watching. You have food, you have cigarette, he you friend. You have nothing, he know your friend. Through his broken English, I understood the meaning totally. It was also helpful that I speak fluent Spanish. This wise old man, De Los Santos was his name, always sharing pearls of wisdom. Now, though, I really started not to just hear, but also listen. I've decided now to be cautious about the alliances I form while here. Not saying that there isn't any good people in prison, but a careful approach is very prudent, all the same. Personally, I don't think prison is an ideal place for forming alliances. For the purpose of prison life, alliances formed for positive, life-pertaining things for the real world seem to be more appropriate purpose. When it comes down to it, you're alone, no matter how many people you become friends with. As far as the system is concerned, you are one 7-digit number in a sea of thousands. This only changes when something goes wrong. Then we are viewed as a collective. One inmate does something, breaks a rule, everyone suffers, whether you had anything to do with it or not. Now we are not seen as individuals at all. Now we are one. One would assume that is a sort of control tactic. Let it be known that all will suffer from the axis of one. This preempts certain individuals in the collective to police the others somewhat, which I'm sure eases the responsibility of staff immensely. A lot of the burden is bared by the inmates. As long as the inmates keep each other from screwing up, the staff has little to do. Let's face it, who wants to be punished for something someone else has done? This also forces many of us not to just think for ourselves. We also have to think about how the decisions we make will ultimately affect the collective, especially if our decisions pertain to breaking rules. When you think about it, this is actually a pretty effective way to maintain order. Some inmates may not see it that way, but I'm sure prison administrators do. After all, this is a society within a society. If some order isn't maintained, the society will crumble in a sense. However, no matter how many rules and regulations are imposed, there's still that small fraction of individuals who will make it their business to break the rules. Who knows if it is an act of rebellion or an act of ignorance? Surprisingly, it's the people who you assume to know better. Of course, you have the few who are new to the system that are constantly involved with something or another. But you find mostly it's the people who have been in prison a while, the veterans of serving time, always facing some sort of disciplinary action, always in some degree of trouble. One has to wonder, is this the reflection of society? I mean, if the older people are worse than the young and the up and coming, how on earth will the younger people stand a chance? Especially if the younger people look up to the older people who are constantly doing what's wrong. I sit and I listen to many voices in this place. It perplexes me how not many of them have anything to say. It appears as though the less intelligent you are, you're acceptable. The more friends you have, people who appear to be upright, honorable, smart, have a short list of associates. It often seems like people enjoy surrounding themselves with people who are less intelligent than they are. I suppose this has its advantages. What glory is in being the king of fools? He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a company of fools suffers harm. I know I don't possess the power to judge. That, I believe, only God has. I do possess the power to choose, though, who I associate with. I choose not to associate with fools. The people who have nothing more on their minds than what is coming on TV or magazines with naked women on the cover. The loud talkers who seem to know everything about but have no concept of knowing how to control how they are perceived. Maybe they do know, but just don't care. There are men here who walk around all day talking loud but saying nothing. Usually the loudest voice heard has nothing real to say. It's not often that there's a loud, boisterous, constructive, or positive conversation overheard. If you stop and listen, usually these loud conversations are about nothing at all. Anything positive or meaningful is most of the time very low-key. I guess because it's wise to not yell and scream at someone who is only 2 feet in front of you. I often find myself thinking, no wonder this person's in jail, which I know is a harsh thing. It's just that some of the men here are incredibly unequipped to deal with basic things. You wonder how these people ever survived out in the world, and most importantly, how on earth are they going to survive when they're released? Prison has increased my wisdom to a certain degree. Wisdom, just like common sense, can't be taught. It's gained over time. It has nothing to do with you being intelligent, smart, or schooled. Wisdom is for the most part practical knowledge about practical things, knowing how to apply these things in practical life. No matter how intelligent a person is, if he doesn't possess any wisdom, the depth of his intelligence is questionable. No matter how much a person knows, if he lacks common sense or wisdom, he will find himself doing things that a less intelligent person with these things won't do, making mistakes that a person won't make. It's funny, in prison, most of these people who possess no wisdom or common sense are usually the individuals who claim to know all of life's answers, how to live, how to think, how to serve time. Meanwhile, the simplest of life's rules seem to elude them. One would assume it must be hard to focus on gaining wisdom when most of your time is spent trying to show everyone how stupid they are and how smart you are. Then again, anyone can appear smart when they are surrounding themselves with ignorant people. How much glory is being the master of idiots? Once again, another holiday has crept upon us. The 4th of July. It's one more day to me. To most here, though, it's a festive day. Inmates are happy and smiling. It must be because of the special meal that's being served. Holidays here are always like this. If you didn't know you were in prison, you would think you were at a company barbecue. I try not to get caught up in the whole prison holiday spirit. I tend to spend my holidays thinking of what I would be doing if I were home, what I did on that holiday, the last time I was home, what I'll do when I'm home on this holiday again. I tend to think that holidays are for family, time to spend with them, people you love and care about. When you're in prison, it seems like holidays don't count, not for you anyway. The only thing they count for is another day spent incarcerated. I'm not looking forward to spending Thanksgiving and Christmases here, especially when I spent last Thanksgiving home with my wife and family. These are some of the toughest times, not just for you, but for your family too. They are forced to carry on without you. Wonder what this holiday would be like if you were home. Your family has to, in a sense, live another life, a life that you would normally be in. That's what usually bothers me the most, the not being there.
And that's gonna do it for this segment. But don't worry, we're gonna have another installment coming for you pretty soon. So just hang in there. I know it's getting good, but we want to thank you for listening to another installment of Akan's Confessions by the Popular Thought Series. We'll see you next time. Open your minds.
Open your mind.
only from TPOT Media. Open your minds.